that are resolved there, or expediting the project, again, multiple shifts. Degree of difficulty, highlight those areas. That is the most important part that people look at. Usually difficulties, obstacles, uniqueness of the project with innovative programs are what make your project stand out. If you have a project that is just as good as your competitors, but you had extraordinary circumstances and you narrate those well, then your project will win the Eagle versus the other project. And we've seen that over the years, where projects have literally edged out the other player by literally tenths of a point just because they narrated a little bit better. So there's been some tight competition. So remember that when you're going through. Success is in difficult circumstances and project uniqueness. Again, I'm repeating myself multiple times, but that's to make sure everybody hears it and understands it, because that is the focal point. The judges really look at what makes the project exciting. So make sure that you write it that way. I mean, it's almost like a creative writing class you got to do. RFPs can be boring. This you need to create and make exciting. It's got to be an exciting story. So the winning aspects, explain what you expected to change during the course of the project. So what happened? What challenges did I overcome? We expected the job to be simple, straightforward, but we all know that in construction that never happens. So what happened to cause the problem, and what did you do during the course of the project to solve that problem? Original situation, the challenge that existed, the new situation, how you overcame that challenge and the outcome. That is how you want to tell that story. So any type of issues like that, that's how you want to tell the story. Get creative in the explanation of the project. Every project that I've ever been involved with has some sort of challenge on it. Just got to find it and basically narrate that well. What does not have an impact on the project entry is the size of the company. It doesn't matter what size you are. Everybody's welcome as long as you're an ABC member to enter. The size of the project doesn't matter because we have different categories based on the size and the category that you're in, dollar value. And if you're a new timer in excellence in construction, then definitely chime in and talk to the EIC committee or the staff to help you along, because we're all willing to help you. We always want new participants in the program to come along, and we're willing to answer the questions. And a lot of the committee members have been around for a very long time and know the nuances that help with making a project exceptional to the judges. So look at that and use the resource that's at hand. Other entry book components. References, make sure that you get references from the owners if you're a GC, and get GC references if you're a subcontractor. Supporting materials, if your project was in the newspaper or there's an article about an E&R or something like that, absolutely put that stuff in. References are worth points. Kind of provide a brief description of what is going on with that supporting material. And then photos, we talked about that. I'm going to show you some coming down the road here. But there's two photos. Photos for judging. That's the photos that are going to go in your book and in the entry book, so make sure you use those. And then photos to publish. If you win an award, that's what's going to go on at the EIC banquet. So follow the application. It tells you what to put in there. Make sure you follow that information. And if you're putting photos in the book at the end, make sure, and I'll talk about this again, make sure you put the photos in that don't have safety violations, and I'll talk about that in a minute. GC involvement, anything from a subcontractor perspective that GCs were involved with you guys, get that information from them to put into the book. This is how the book is scored. If you look at that, you have the general contractor, you got the binder form. There's that 3 points I was talking about right there. That is a good way to lose an award if you don't follow that section, so please do that. You can see contracted scope. I'm going to show you an example of that. We want a detailed description of work, size of project, contract value, schedule. That is more of a bullet point, summary type section, and here's why. As if I'm a judge, I'm looking at your book, and that's the first section you come to. So I'm going to be able to get a summary, narrative, bullet point idea of what's going on with the project. So when I look at the project, I can look at that section and get a pretty good idea of what I'm getting ready to read about. And that is what the contracted scope needs to be. A summary, detailed, bullet point, to the point type section that gives me a complete, I say complete, almost complete understanding of what project I'm getting ready to go review. The narrative section you can see is 15 points. That's where you want to get into a lot of the detail, value engineering, schedule, quality, all that stuff. Very important to narrate that like we talked about. The difficulty of project gives you another section in multiple pages to talk about the obstacles, the challenges. That's in design, materials, schedule, whatever it may be. Again, in those areas, under the narrative is where I would put innovative opportunities. So if you had an innovative safety program, those type of things, I'd put that in the narrative section. Quality of finished project, again, talking about what you did, showing off the work that you completed. That's a good area to put in finished pictures that go along with what you're trying to, your point you're trying to get across to the judges. So that's what you want to do in that section there. References from the owners we talked about, architect, you can see that's worth 10 points. So you definitely want to get reference letters. The photographs are worth 5. Make sure you put those in there. It's pretty simple points. Follow that section. Safety questions. There's a safety when you put the application in. It's worth 22 points. Please make sure you go through that and fill that out. Supplemental materials. Any other type of information that you have that you could put in there. That's the articles, the documentation, E&R, whatever it may be, put it in that section that you think is relevant to the project. Merit shop. Basically, you guys, I think most people, where's that on the, that's on the ABCC website, right? Merit shop?
Yes.
So
the abc.org website.
The Merit shop is, or the accredited quality contractor?
Accredited quality, and then Merit shop to look for the contractors.
Yep.
Is on abc.org
okay.
as well.
So for Merit shop, go to, you can look for the list of contractors on the abc.org website. And then accredited quality contractor, same thing. If you're not an accredited quality contractor, please go there and sign up and go through the paperwork. Again, a couple points there for each one of those sections. So that's what it is for the general contractors broken down. For the subcontractors, it's the same exact scoring. And the information that I just read to you before applies to all these categories as well. Okay, important part about this, looks are not everything, and from a subcontractor perspective, you know, there are people that always come up and say, well, you know, we don't have very large graphics departments or marketing departments like a lot of the GCs do, so, you know, they have an advantage. The answer to the question is, by scoring, there is no advantage, because we do not score based on the looks of the book. We score based on the completeness of the book and the accuracy of the book, but not what it looks like. But if you have the ability to try and enhance it, it's better. And here's why. Because what we cannot control is the subjectiveness of the judges. When we do the judges training, I specifically tell them that you're not grading on what the book looks like. You're grading on the content, that it's organized, that it's complete. However, people like looking at things that they like looking at. So when it comes to that 3 points, I can't say the judges haven't done that before, but there's nothing that we can control about it. No one ever says that, or they say they don't do it, but we know they do. So if you can enhance it, great. If you can't, then we continue to try and educate the judges not to grade that way. So again, it's on the what's inside is the content of the book and being organized and in order. Again, the words, the content of the book, how you write it, how you narrate it, is very important. And then layout and graphics, intermix them. Make sure you get in there. Make sure we put in there what you need to do. It is okay if you fully narrate the book, if you don't have any pictures, but again, pictures are better. And we've had projects win that have just been completely narrated. So Here's an example of a very elaborate front cover. That's one option. There's a different option for a front cover. Again, elaborate. This is a non-elaborate front cover, okay, and it's been used before, and they've won an Eagle Award. So you can make it very simple. Doesn't have to be elaborate, and this project did win an Eagle Award. This is the contracted scope I was talking to you guys about. This is a very good one. This project did win an Eagle Award. As you can see by it, it's a summary type format. They use pictures to go along with their narration. They have bullet points within the narration, and then on the left-hand side is almost kind of a summary of what was going on. In this case, they have the delivery method, the market, the construction date, start, completion, and the type of construction materials, building systems, means and methods, and they narrate it in a concise format. If you read this, you'd have a very good understanding of what the project was and what they were getting ready to go do. That is what you guys want to do. This is another contracted scope section. This is more verbal, more written, a lot more narrative. This did win an award. It is acceptable to do it this way. So these are just other options. That, in my book, is much easier for a judge to look at. It's more concise and clean. This one still won, but it's a lot more to read to get the same type of information. So keep that in mind when you're going through. Obviously, it's your choice on how you want to do that, but we recommend the first one. Photographs in the book. Maximum of 10 photos for section 6. That's where you can put whatever you want in there. I would suggest you use progress and finished photos. A lot of people put all finished photos in there, but people like to see some of the ongoing work. When I say people, the judges. We're going to show you some pictures, but always include captions for clarity. It's great that I'm looking at a picture, but if I have nothing to do with the project, I have no idea what you're talking about or what the point is of the picture. So please identify with a little caption at the bottom as to what the point you're trying to get across. Again, link your photos to text for better illustration. Very, very important when you're going in your narrative. If you have if you have pictures that you can apply to the text, the narrative, please do that. So here's an example of a photograph. If you didn't have the words at the bottom, you'd say that's a pretty picture, but what's the point of the picture? So you narrate at the bottom of what you're trying to get across. You guys can read that. They're talking about 18 vintage cars, difference. This is the NASCAR Hall of Fame, obviously. The concrete track consists of banking from 0 to 36 degrees. So they were explaining the intent of the photo. Please make sure that you guys do that, because the picture would be nice in itself to look at, but you wouldn't have any idea the purpose of the picture. Review photos for safety violations. Please review photos for safety violations. I'll say it again. Review photos for safety violations. I think last year is probably one of the first years we didn't have that, which was good. But you'd be surprised. Always look in the background of your pictures to make sure that somebody in the distance isn't doing something wrong. It's very easy to take a picture of something in the foreground and there's a guy standing on a piece of scaffold hanging over with no hard hat on or no safety belt, okay? Please don't put those in there because you will lose points for that. Specialty contractor included photos of the entire building. Here's what's important about that. If you are a subcontractor, it's very easy to get tied up exactly what you're doing. But at the same point, you need to identify where you fall within the big building, within the structure or the project itself. So if you are a mechanical contractor, you can focus on the mechanical room, which is important, but you also want to show the broadness of the project and why it was so complex for your work, same with electrical contractor, etc. So get with your general contractor and get photos from them if you don't have them yourself. Again, highlight your specific trade. Make sure you focus on what your work that you're trying to do and tie it into the big project. going to show you an example of a renovation photo before and after.